state senator from Chesapeake. That's my state senator, where I live, John Cosgrove. Senator, we hope this all works. Great to have you with us.
Well, thank you, Commander, or should I say Godzilla? I'm not sure which one,
The Godzilla of Virginia Talk Radio. Somebody introduced me as that, and I like it, so I'm going to stick with it.
There you go.
And it even though the Fräulein says they were referring to my waistline, I just don't buy that.
No, I don't either. It wouldn't surprise me to see you breathe fire once or twice.
That's right. Well, we got to do that. I was doing it a little bit earlier in the Senate District 12 race. Senator, I want to get to your race. You've got a primary in a couple of weeks. You're being challenged. You've represented the district as a state senator for a 2-year period now. What has been, you spent a long time in the House. What has really been different between being in the House and being in the Senate?
Oh, it's a lot different, John. The Senate, they're very, very demure. There's not the swinging from the chandeliers that happens in the House. The House is a lot more fun, to be honest with you. we had much more spicy debates, but I enjoy being in the Senate. I have 220,000 constituents now instead of 80,000 that I had in the House. So I certainly enjoy being there.
Now, your Senate district, District 14, right, that extends a while because we were driving, my family and I were driving to Richmond Sunday early, and we were down 460, and we were seeing your signs all the way through Isle of Wight.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually my district starts at the North Carolina-Virginia line of the Atlantic Ocean and goes up through Virginia Beach and Chesapeake and Portsmouth and Suffolk and Isle of Wight and Southampton. I actually have 3 precincts in Franklin, so It's a pretty big district.
All right, so because I saw your signs along 460, which was Suffolk, Isle of Wight, saw a bunch of them in Isle of Wight, and then in Southampton also. Yeah.
Well, we've been doing the sign war here. I have some great volunteers that are putting the signs out for us, and we've tried to make sure that we are getting the message out that the primary is June 9th. People just don't think about voting in June, so we're trying to make sure that people realize that's the primary.
Senator, what are a couple of your top objectives, assuming you win on June 9th and you get reelected, you go back in 2016? I kind of believe the Republicans are going to maintain a slim majority, maybe by 1, maybe by 2. So you go back in there, you're the majority. What are going to be your top priorities?
Well, certainly we're going to hold off Medicaid expansion. That's something the governor desperately wants, but we have fought very hard against that expansion in Virginia. Other things are just basically the economy. Let's drive our Virginia economy. Let's make it better for business to do business here, so that they can hire our people and provide a good, stable economy in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And that really is very, very important for the Commonwealth. As the economy grows and expands, more revenues come into the state, and it takes the pressure off of those who feel like they need to raise taxes.
Well, tax is always an issue. You've got to find revenue somewhere. Obviously, things have to be paid for and whatnot. Senator, there's been a lot of criticism over the great transportation compromise, if you will, of 2013. A lot of people saying, well, the money's not really going to transportation. We can't find it. We've got this regional transportation authority. How do we know we're getting our fair share? How do you weigh in on that?
Well, I think it's obvious that projects are coming about. Certainly one of the biggest projects we're having is the widening I-64 from Jefferson Avenue all the way down past Williamsburg to try to get that traffic flow coming into Virginia Beach and Southampton roads and make that an easier commute. We have the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel and the Monitor Merrimack Tunnel that splits that traffic. So, things are happening. We're actually doing a lot of local work, the Lesnar Bridge in Virginia Beach. There's a environmental study on the high-rise bridge in Chesapeake. So all of the areas in Hampton Roads are benefiting from those tax dollars that are coming in. And it's something we desperately need because we have terrible traffic problems now. We've got to solve them. We're
with Republican State Senator John Cosgrove. He's in a primary election on June 9th. Senator, let's get to the Route 460 debacle. The money we spent there went for nothing. Millions of dollars gone. But what happens now? I mean, I take 460 to Richmond all the time just to get out of the interstate tunnel traffic. Works pretty well, except you have to go through, obviously, those little towns. The original concept was to expand that so that it could become a rival freeway to 64, obviously. What happens now?
Well, I went to the town hearing, the public hearing, on 460 at Elephant Fork High School in Suffolk. And I'm looking at the proposed route of 460, which comes off of Interstate 58, bypasses Windsor and a couple other small areas, and then puts all the traffic back into Ivor. That just doesn't seem to be a reasonable alternative to me, because basically you do the same thing that we have in Jefferson Avenue, where we choke down 5 lanes into 2. We've got to do better than that. If we want to do 460, it needs to be 460 from 58 all the way to 95. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. Let's not just do it piece by piece.
So how is that done, sir?
Well,
how do we do it?
Well, the original 460 route, which I supported, had a lot of wetlands impacts, and the Corps of Engineers, raised a lot of issues about that, and they decided then to kill the deal for that 460. So what we need to do is look at the northern route, and we can take that from 58 all the way out to 95. And I think that's a better scenario. But we need to work with the governor and the Secretary of Transportation, Aubrey Lane, who's a very reasonable fellow, to try to do a better job on how that 460 is done. The other problem with the 460 corridor that is there right now is it bisects many farms that have been in families' possession for hundreds of years. And I told the folks at VDOT, you have got to be able to find a way for these farmers, if you're going to cut through their land, to be able to get from one side to the other with their farm machinery, instead of having to drive 10 miles down to the next intersection. So we need to do a better job on how we're communicating and how we're going to do that, because those people have been there literally for hundreds of years. And, we need to make sure that we'll take some of their land, but we can't destroy the value of the other side of the highway.
Senator, let's get back to, let's stay with roads, go to tolls. There's been a number now of economic studies coming out saying that the new tolling by the East River partnership thing we have into Portsmouth is an economic catastrophe for the city, even though Terry McAuliffe was able to buy them down for a while. But now it's affecting businesses. It's affecting the city as a whole because they can't get the revenue in. Is there any way to solve this?
The only way to solve that would be to buy out the contract that was agreed to by the Commonwealth of Virginia and Elizabeth River Crossings. And that would be extraordinarily expensive. I don't know what we can do about that, but we need to find an alternative to that toll in the downtown and midtown tunnel. Now, I will tell you, now let's get a little political here. My opponent in the primary, one of the things on his signs is get government out of roads. So if we get government out of roads, we're going to have just a bunch of Elizabeth River Crossing folks building all our roads and putting tolls on every single new highway or renovated highway. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know what he's thinking.
Well, it doesn't make any sense at all. Look, people say things, they're in a campaign. It doesn't make any sense. All you have to do is look at this tolling disaster that we have with this private-public partnership, if you will. And as you said, Senator, we can't get out of it. I mean, it's just, for the life of me, I can't understand why this deal was ever made, and now there's no way out, and there's one of our cities is now getting economically hammered by this.
Yeah, I have 5 precincts in Portsmouth, and so, I'm very aware of that. But downtown Portsmouth especially is getting hammered on this. It's half the time that the downtown tunnel's closed, for repairs.
Right.
And then the tolls are going to go up each year. We all know that. I think it's an economic disaster waiting to happen for downtown Portsmouth, and I wish we could do something about it.
Well, the one thing we don't need is to put any more tolls on any more roads. I want to get to the veteran situation in Hampton Roads. You're a veteran, Senator. We're getting new information now that the Veteran Center in Hampton is even worse than we thought it was. What happens?
Well, it is bad, John. And, we have one of the highest concentrations of veterans of any state in the Union, actually the highest. And certainly our area here in Hampton Roads has an extraordinarily high percentage of veterans who live in this area. The General Assembly did three things this year that were very, very important for veterans. First, we decided to step up, put our money where our mouth is, and put in several $100 million to build 2 veteran service medical centers, one in Northern Virginia and one in Virginia Beach.
Right.
These are 233 beds each that will help for PTSD, regular medical, mental health, whatever. But, we're stepping in because the VA just isn't towing their line. One of the other things we did is we're opening a service center at Tidewater Community College on Cedar Road, where veterans can go and get information on the benefits that they're deserving of and have earned by their service. This is going to be open June 10th, and I will be there with bells on just to help cut that ribbon because both Delegate Leftwich and I worked very hard to make that a reality. And third...
Well, look, Senator, I know you're a modest guy. That's part of your demeanor, and I appreciate that. But truth be told, you were the one, along, of course, with Delegate Jay Leftwich, but you worked on that very hard for a very long time. There's a lot of people that say that without your efforts, both publicly and behind the scenes, that would not have happened.
Well, a lot of people worked on that, and we're just very, very pleased that it happened, John. I'm not going to beat my chest and say I did it because a lot of folks were into it, including Delegate Chris Jones. He came up with the money to make it happen. So the other thing we did for veterans is I carried a bill I'm very proud of that would require the community college system to evaluate military training that a veteran has received while on active duty and give accreditation for that training if it meets the criteria, and then give that veteran those accreditation points, on their transcript so they don't have to pay for additional classes that they're probably so good at they could even teach. So this is going to make it faster and cheaper for the veteran. They're going to get back in the job force a lot quicker by doing that.
Well, there's just another common sense idea, and I hope you're able to get that through. Senator, we've got about a minute. You are up for election. There is a primary June 9th. You do have a challenger. I'm going to give you the next minute 10 or so to tell people why they should reelect you to the state Senate and a little bit about how to get in touch with your campaign.
Well, thanks, John. June 9th is our primary. I do have a challenger. The gentleman is running around basically not telling the truth. He's told people that I voted for Medicaid expansion, and I have been one of the largest critics of Medicaid expansion in the General Assembly. That's a blatant lie. He's also taken down his, quote, manifesto site and replaced it with a real milquetoast site that says nothing. His old site had his Halenomics and all these strange and varied ideas, doing away with Social Security and getting the government out of roads, like I said before. So I just hope that people will realize what I have done in the past. I carried the bill that reorganized SIPSA so that they would reduce their rates, and I also kept a probation and parole office away from Grape Ridge Middle School and Intermediate School.
Okay, John Cosgrove, we're out of time. Senator John Cosgrove, Republican representing District 14. He's in a primary on June 9th. John, if people want more information, where do they go?
Well, they can go to my Facebook page, Senator John Cosgrove, or my website, senatorcosgrove.com.